Now from the Weather Tracker TV Storm Studios, this is your weather today. Here's Chief Meteorologist William Cole.
All right, folks, here we go now, heading right on into our Tuesday, and it is another very humid start to the morning. In fact, overnight lows were generally in the 70s around the area, pretty breezy as well, but we're not going to be quite as hot as yesterday. Of course, yesterday, Monday, we had 94 officially as a daytime high here in the Metroplex. Today, I think we'll be in the mid-80s. The dry line will not make it as far to the east, so even the air mass will be a little more humid, even as we go through the afternoon, so warm and humid. There's a 10% probability here in the Metroplex through early evening of a stray shower or thunderstorm. There may be a bit better of a probability as we get into the overnight, an opportunity of rain and storms with a cold front. Could be some severe weather. I've got some new details on that I want to talk to you about as we go over the next few minutes. So again, more on that coming up. But again, this is where we started the morning, generally 70s around the area. And again, keep in mind a typical low this time of year would be right around 52. So we were well above normal. And like I mentioned, it was humid and, well, it was breezy out the door as well. So looking at radar, right now it's relatively quiet. Simply put, not a lot going on. A couple things that are really catching my eye this morning. Number one, it's this little black line, right? That's the dry line. It retreated all the way out into the big country overnight. Now that will come back into our area, mainly into our western counties as we go through the day. It's going to do a couple things. It's going to trigger some critical fire danger in our western counties because the humidity is going to drop so low behind it. Again, it may also be the trigger of a couple late afternoon, early evening thunderstorms similar to yesterday evening. The cap today is a little bit stronger, so again, I'm only putting the probability at 10 to maybe 20%, and then I'm watching a boundary off to our north. That's a developing cold front. Then because we've got a big upper level storm system that is now coming out, it's ejecting out into the Great Plains. It's going to push that front down into our area, and again, as we get into the overnight, into the wee hours of tomorrow, Wednesday morning, we may have some storms develop along that front, and again, some of those storms could be packing a punch with an opportunity of severe weather. So I want to talk about that now, but also quickly, just looking around our region here, there may be another very significant severe weather outbreak. We'll talk more about this on Storm Watch, but again, from the Arklatex up into the Ozarks, and again, also up in the Corn Belt, exact same areas that had the severe weather outbreak to end last week, they're under the gun again, and it could be some pretty significant, even tornadic activity. And the bad news is most of that will be tonight after dark into the wee hours of the morning as well. That does not sound to me like a very good combination. Okay, but back here at home, you can see we've got our own area of red, nowhere near as intense as that, but again, could we see a late day thunderstorm that possibly poses a hail threat? The answer is yes, 10 to 20%, and then we'll be watching overnight for that line of storms trying to develop in our area. Tornado zone mainly for that line of storms. The greater probability of any tornado activity would be over in the Arklatex, but again, anything that forms here overnight, could we have a tornado warning or two? Simply put, it's just not impossible. So quickly, the model, again, as we go through the afternoon, we're basically quiet. The model, again, not really developing anything along the dry line, not even a storm or two. By late day, again, we'll watch for that. If anything were to develop similar to last night, it would have a hail threat. Overnight, there it is by 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning. Here comes the cold front thunderstorms develop. Notice they're close to the Metroplex, but not necessarily in the Metroplex. Again, we'll track that carefully because it's going to be razor close. I've still got about a 30% opportunity, especially for Dallas County. We may see a few thunderstorms, especially around 4 a.m. in the morning. Then that activity begins to push off to the southeast as we go through the morning into the early afternoon, and then simply put, we're dry and we will be a little bit cooler tomorrow as well. Big time fire danger, though, unfortunately developing in our western counties. Critical fire danger zone there. Again, any kind of outdoor burning, again, is strongly recommended, strongly not recommended as we go through this afternoon. Not recommended, but again, for outdoor burning out there. Okay, so here's your daytime high. Sorry, that was a little confusing, wasn't it? 80s generally around the area. You may even pop a few 90s out to the west because they will be behind the dry line. Through the afternoon, again, it's only a 20% opportunity near the dry line of a stray shower thunderstorm. Generally dry here in the Metroplex for any kind of Tuesday evening plans. Temperatures slowly easing down into the 70s. Here comes the cold front overnight. Rain and storms possible near it. Overnight lows down in the 50s. And then tomorrow cooler with highs only in the 60s. And that will be the beginning of at least a few days here where we do taper the temperatures down into the 60s before what appears to be a pretty significant warm-up back into the 80s as we get into parts of next week. We've got a lot we're talking about today, and we will have more coming up right after this.